What's up, eggheads? We are back from our epic journey. Give us some hearts and donuts in the chat if you can see and hear what's going on. You think we're good?
Yeah, they're good.
Okay.
They can hear us.
All right. We just got done eating eggs. So we are egg fueled.
Jamie cooked me lamb eggs.
Lamb
Alien eggs.
Oh, lamb eggs. Ew.
Lamb or lamb?
Lamb. Well, it comes from llama, as in Tibetan llama. So I'm going to go with lamb.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to talk about LAM the Eggman and all of our weird...
Good chew. I am the Eggman.
We saw some eggs on a man in Sedona. Remember that?
Oh, when I invoked the naked man?
Yes.
The nude dude?
So, here's a Jay and Jamie lore. We went to what's called Bell Rock in Sedona.
I made a video, I'm sure a lot of them
Yeah, and he went straight up the rock, and we tried to go around the backside, and he made a joke video about wanting aliens to date, which features perfectly in our show today, right?
Yeah, I said that we wanted to have an open relationship and only with aliens.
Yeah.
And a man overheard me from the bushes on the side of a giant red rock mountain. And he was nude, and he came out nude, I guess because he thought I was actually saying I wanted to interact with nude people.
But it wasn't like a handsome alien man. It was like a older...
He was a boomer.
He had a hunchback.
A nude boomer.
He looked like a wisdom tooth walking around, like naked, like with like two skinny legs and a trunk.
Okay. He was a nude dude boomer.
Yeah. So I feel like we wasted our vortex wish on.
Jamie said, "Why didn't you ask for Bitcoin?"
You should have. Yeah. So.
That's a true story. Like I was making a joke video, and then I stopped the video, and the nude dude came out. And then I was like, I gotta tell the audience what happened after that video.
Yeah. And we saw The Thing, which is not an alien, but it might as well be, right? It's like
Oh, you know about this?
Yeah. One of my favorite roadside attractions.
Jamie's
New
taken
Mexico,
me
Arizona.
to it twice.
We're gonna see The Thing.
I've been duped twice.
And we are stopping at no less than 3 Indian trading posts a day on road trips.
We went to quite a few.
Yeah. So, we had a lot of fun. What was your favorite part of the West Coast Adventure 2025?
I enjoyed all the podcasts. Were a lot of fun. Tripoli's was the most fun. Podcast, Hodge Twins was fun, and Ruslan was fun. Whatever was grueling because of the heat and the idiocy. But I had fun at all of them.
Santa Barbara was fun, the town. We had
a good time.
You were introduced to Erewhon, the grocery store.
Greatest grocery store in the world. It really is.
The only grocery store good enough for our
I want to move to Calabasas just because of that grocery store. I'm serious.
We had Erewhon.
All the products were amazing and real. The food was good. It was like grocery store food that was a meal level, like a nice dinner level from a grocery store.
Erewhon makes Whole Foods look like a dump. Let's put it that way.
When Whole Foods first came out and they had their food bar and all that before it turned gross, it's what they were trying to be.
Yeah. So we got a couple super chats. Thanks, guys. We've got...
They're right here.
No hearts, no donuts. I got dollars. Thank you for 5 donuts and 5 pounds. Says God bless Jamie J and chat. Christ is King. Thank you very much. 5 pounds for listening from England.
Are you not gonna read the first one?
Yeah, it says H. Brazzy, no hearts, no donuts. All I got is dollars.
Oh. You gotta say who said it.
So thanks for coming, guys. H. Brazzy, thank you. Slowboy Whiteboard's here. Melo Forte's here. We got Henry Ludwig is in the chat. Who else? Any mods popping up that you know? Crossover mods.
I mean,
Daniel Flares.
I recognize almost everybody
of them.
from our crew.
So welcome, guys.
These is our peeps.
We've got a lot of funny alien stuff, serious.
Now this is stuff Jamie's been looking into. I'm here for additional philosophic input and analysis.
Yes.
I don't know a lot of what she's been reading, so I'm going to be learning together with you guys from Professor Jamie today.
And he's here because he's handsome and funny and smart and all the things. So
I come on this podcast because I get gassed up.
Yes, we all love you. Where do we start? So this is a piggyback of the show we did called Why So Serious, about the star Sirius and how important it is to the mystery schools. Is this Isaac or BLA? That was Clint. So we talked about Freemasonry and Sirius.
I know about that.
And all the different Egyptian cults and the Dogon.
I know about that. This is my copy of this old thing right here from, I read this many years ago. I mean, I don't take these people too seriously. I read this in 2008. Wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, but there's a lot of crazy stuff in there about John C. Lilly and mind control and X-Men kids.
Crowley's a big part of the Stargate conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, Stargate's a real SRI program.
Yeah.
Has to do with portals, gates, etc. And then we had the Gateway Process document that came out, which vindicates a lot of this as well from the CIA perspective.
Mm-hmm. They said audio's a little quiet. I'll try and talk directly into it. How about that? So yeah, we did the whole series show, and as soon as I pressed stop recording, I completely remembered that I forgot that the Crowley's AA is all about Sirius too.
Argentium Astrum?
Yes.
Correct.
And so this was built on the Golden Dawn Silver Star. So it's like a complement to the Golden Dawn, gold, silver, blah, 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 Dawn Star. You've got Theosophy and Blavatsky saying that Sirius exerts a mystic influence over everything. There's mentions of Sirius in the Quran. I didn't know that, so there's a weird connection there.
Can you be more specific?
Saying he is the Lord of Sirius. So this is in this article that we're gonna kind of like skim over in a second.
Are you sure it's not a hadith? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just haven't heard this.
So. Let's see.
I'm fact checking my wife.
This is an article called "Secrets of Sirius Dog Star," a 14th century Timbuktu manuscript.
Okay, so apparently in Surah the Star, verse 49, it says, "He is the Lord of Sirius."
Yes.
Okay, so I bet you Masons have a good time reading that, and it's like, oh, you know, we're the real Islam.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Freemasons call it the sun behind the sun. And the Egyptians, it was Isis, who's the goddess that we're going to kind of be talking about. And, of course, the blazing star Freemasonry is represents the omnipresent deity, the eye in the sky.
I've heard that. I have a book on the relationship between Kabbalah and Masonry, and it argues that the blazing star in every lodge is supposed to be Sirius.
There you go.
Is that right?
Yeah. I am the eye in the sky.
Okay, but
remember that?
Let's understand that eye in the sky, and when people talk about the eye of providence, that can just be referring to divine providence.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean Masonry or Satanism.
Right, because it can be a Christian symbol too.
Correct.
Right.
And Masons play on word concept fallacies, which is funny because in the earlier live stream we were talking about that people will mistake a symbol, and because a symbol can mean and refer to different things, for the same thing. So, like the Bible calls Jesus the bright morning star because of the resurrection, but it also calls Lucifer the bright morning star because he's a deceiving angel of light.
Mm-hmm.
So, is Jesus Lucifer?
No.
Yeah. And Masons do the same thing when they talk about not just the morning star, but they do it with the idea of Solomon, Sol Om On, Sol Invictus, Om that the monks Om, and On the Egyptian deity. No, it's the word Shalom. That's where Solomon's name comes from. It's not a combination of 3 different deities from different languages.
Right, and that's the, what do you call it, word concept fallacy that Jordan Maxwell.
I know it's the word concept fallacy and all.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah.
Jordan Maxwell.
Right.
The birth of a ship and the birth of your self from your mom. Birth. Like it's not, it's actually 2 different words.
Currency is the water. Okay.
Oh, currency is the water? That's a good one.
Someone said the Eggman is the bad guy in Sonic the Hedgehog. So we're talking about,
in
the
Mario 2, that bird that bird spits an egg out of his mouth too.
Do it. He can do it good. What's his name? Somebody put that guy's name.
I can't remember the bird in level 1 or 2 of Mario.
He hops in Mario Brothers 2 and he shoots out.
Yeah,
egg.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, what's his name?
I don't know. Sirius, Eye in the Sky. Oh, and that's a interesting factoid too.
His name is Birdo. Or it's a girl, Birdo.
Birdo. I like her.
Go ahead.
There's boy ones and
It's a girl, or yeah, maybe it's both.
There she is.
Go ahead.
That song that they always play at a basketball game, the Alan Parsons, it's called Sirius. It's the interlude to Eye in the Sky. Yeah, I like that song. I can't hum it though.
Well, that must mean
I can't remember how it goes.
Okay, so tell us what's next.
So, yes. Then we get to the AA, the Argentium Astrum Order of the Silver Star Sirius, and one key document is this thing called One Star in Sight, written in 1911 by Aleister Crowley, about the stages of spiritual development, talking about Kabbalah, talking about your guardian angel, which basically boils down to extraterrestrial contact, is what they are trying to do.
Yeah, there was actually an article in a mainline thing talking about, remember when James Franco tried to do a Crowleyan ritual?
No.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I
I forgot. Sorry.
He's just trying to reenact something that was silly. And there was an article that was interviewing, it was like a Daily Beast article or something. Anyway, they were interviewing somebody from some Crowleyan group, and the guy was saying, when we try to contact the gods or channel the gods, it's the same as what UFO people believe are aliens.
Yeah, and this is where we get the every man and woman is a star, and the star is supposed to be Sirius. And when we did the Why So Serious show, we were talking about how one part of this is to create a sort of hive mind, or, like body snatchers, with the consciousness of Sirius inhabiting a lot of different people's, mind.
I don't understand that. How would the consciousness of Sirius...
Well, just by doing...
So, like, if it's a demon, everybody's possessed to have a hive mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this goes along with a lot of movies we talk about.
Well, in Demon Seed, Proteus is Sirius.
I know.
Right.
I know. We could talk about this all day, and we will keep going. So, yeah, their sacred seal is that Star of Babylon. Let me see if I can find that. The 8-pointed star.
According to Crowley.
Yeah.
When you say they, you're talking about the...
Yeah, so this
Argentium
is the
Astrum.
Argentium Astrum, Star of Babylon. And that seal right there. And then at the top of that, pay attention to that. But getting back to Sirius in Islam, there was a couple interesting... So this manuscript, it was just kind of like a Islamic, astrology chart.
Yeah, I think that because Islam, the Muslims and the Chaldeans, the Arabs, they were very into astrology,
Mm-hmm.
and like they associated the pagans, the demonic entities that were worshipped at Mecca had a astrological significance, and so the Quran wants to stress the superiority of Allah over the stellar deities.
Mm. And that probably has to do with their flag that has the moon and the star, and so maybe the star would be Sirius.
Yeah, well, some people have argued that the moon, the star could be that, and the moon is the moon god of Mecca.
I see. So this article talks about the stone of God descending upon the head of the high priest who received the super solar force. Just a bunch of like Osiris ritual magic stuff, and then Freemasonry taught it's the blazing star. Sirius is the sacred place all Masons must ascend to. It is the source of divine power and the destination of divine individuals. And then you've got, Crowley was a high-level Mason. So.
But also, a lot of these people are con men. So
well, yeah. That's what magic is, basically. It's like using true stuff and con stuff and your own ego and just a bunch of crazy.
Well, it's a cafeteria-style thing to create your own cult.
Yeah.
And again, as we always say, the people who go up the levels of Crowley's cult then graduate to start their own cults, like Gerald Gardner, L. Ron Hubbard, etc.
And I was just thinking about that today, like, well, Crowley says we're in the Aeon of Horus, but then Michael Aquino came along and said we're in the Aeon of Set, and then Kenneth Grant says we're in the Aeon of this or whatever. So
They're
it's
just
like
making up their own thing.
They just assume the position of the.
I'm the true magus who can speak the word of the Aeon.
Yeah, no true magus, like no true Scotsman.
No true magus fallacy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm learning the fallacies. Are you proud of me?
Good job.
Yeah. So in this article, it says there was a whole chapter named after the star in the Quran where Allah gives an oath by the rising of Sirius. One can acknowledge the importance of the Star of Islam as it was to humanity that predated Islamic faith. So I think the author of this article is just like kind of like an Islamic scholar. And then they give, it was a report to Aristotle, actually, this astrology, so it talks.
This article from LinkedIn that you printed out.
Yes, they
that was
put
on
it back in time.
That was on Aristotle's LinkedIn.
Yeah, but if you're interested in the ancient reports of astrology, it was just a bunch of predictions and stuff based on the Sirius rising in Mercury or Gemini. Or
what
whatever.
have to do with Aristotle?
It was like.
You mean he mentioned Sirius or something?
Yeah. Aristotle explained each astrological sign specific to a certain land, country, and the link to a certain planet. The Honorable Ptolemy said each land is characterized by a zodiac sign. So they're like, it's just like serious astrology.
Well, the whole ancient world utilized the houses of the zodiac for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, even John Damascus mentions the houses of the zodiac. So that's just how the calendar worked.
And it's also kind of like almanac of weather and stuff based on the conjunction of Sirius to the different houses. They're saying there's going to be famines at this time and plenty of floods at this time. Whatever. Anyways, so if you're interested in all that, it's called Secrets of Sirius Dog Star, 14th century Timbuktu manuscript. And we talked about the AA. So yeah, this is where we get little green men and ETs.
You talking about Crowley's
creature? Did this thing called the Alamantra working.
Yeah.
And one of the revelations of the working was the symbolism of the egg. So here we are talking about eggies again. Wibbles.
Well, this is not that new.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's going to connect to the alien stuff because there's memes going around, a lot of the conspiracy gibberish channels and the speculation fake channels that somebody discovered an alien egg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To me, it was pretty obviously an AI picture, but I think Crowley is I'm guessing, deriving this from Plato's Orphic mysteries, because Plato was initiated into the Orphic mysteries, and you have the idea of the snake and the egg, which is a symbol for the universe and the eternal recurrence that occurs. So that's very popular in, esotericism, hermeticism, alchemy. It all uses this idea of the Orphic egg.
Yeah, a couple months ago, this was all the rage. It was like this green egg, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Before bed, we like watched spooky videos and weird James LaFleur and stuff. And this was a huge one on there. I don't know if you can see that. So basically, they're saying they found this giant egg, and it had ancient writing on it. The egg UAP's proportions are...
It has alien text and script on it.
Google egg UAP. Remember this guy? The Sirius documentary? They said they had a little alien from... This is where it starts to get goofy and obscured. With these, like... This guy. They say that they found this little dude. Remember?
No.
Oh. That was like
really
Stephen Greer, one of those disclosure guys.
So this is the classic Orphic egg from Plato. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, right? That's the snake and the egg. That's from Plato's Timaeus. Mm-hmm. So, well, and I'm guessing that's where Crowley's going to start making connections, because
you were saying that Timaeus was a esoteric.
So the Timaeus is what Socrates learned from Solon, and Solon went to the Egyptian priests and got the ancient mysteries from Egypt and passed that down. So Plato is saying that his stories are the mysteries of Thoth. It's the Thoth mysteries.
Okay, so that's Hermit.
And he explicitly says that, by the way, in one of the Platonic dialogues. It's not just the Timaeus. There's another one where he says, all of my mysteries are the mysteries of Thoth.
Which is Hermes.
Yeah.
So, which is Golden Dawn, Hermeticism.
Okay. And what's the egg thing here?
So, the Alamantra working, and we're going to talk about a couple more details of that.
Well, I think one thing that's important to note is that all of these groups, they all borrow from ancient Plato, Neoplatonic, Platonist structures. Mm-hmm. So this ancient world stuff that Plato's claiming is from Egypt, and it very well could be, like all of the modern day, from the Renaissance all the way up to Crowley, whether it's Francis Barrett or Agrippa or any of these people, they're basically just retooling the existing Plato Neoplatonic structure that's already there. Mm-hmm. It's called the Porphyrian tree. Porphyrian tree is very close to the Kabbalistic tree. So all of these groups are just retooling ancient things, copying and pasting, and playing on people's ignorance of history and philosophy.
Yeah, and they recycle all kinds of things into gross stuff. And somehow it works, though, because we just got back from...
It's a powerful grift.
Driving through the desert, because they're in contact with demons through drugs and sex and other things. But we just got back through driving through, like, Arizona and New Mexico, where several of the truck stops are, like, alien themes, right? And we're going to find out it looks like this guy.
Here's the Porphyrian tree, and whoa, what do you know? It looks just like the Kabbalistic tree of life. Whoa. It's because it's all just Neoplatonic structures. That's it.
So, when you say alien, the first thing you think of... Let me see. Yeah, and that looks like the squiggly tree from Sumeria or whatever.
It looks like the Kabbalistic tree of life, and it looks like the what's the tree of life? Yggdrasil of the Nordics.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, so when you say alien, what do you think of? You think of a gray or a green face with black,
right? You think
big,
of that
bulbous,
little
egg-shaped head,
egg-headed dude.
Yeah, basically this dude right here. right? That's LAM. You like him?
No.
Is he cute?
He looks sad and dejected.
He
looks like he's on antidepressants.
This is the guy that all these people have to meditate on. Because he's some kind of gatekeeper of Sirius.
Are you talking about in the circles of Crowley?
Yeah.
They're supposed to meditate on him?
Mm-hmm. So...
meditate on this sad soy demon.
Egghead.
This egg-headed soy man that looks all sad.
But this is where a lot of science fiction comes from.
He's all sad.
I know. And, you know, your basic fantasy, sci-fi.
Well, it's not an accident that one of the key sci-fi writers, L. Ron Hubbard, comes out of Crowley's cult.
Right.
To create his own cult.
And people seeing these things now.
By the way, is Yakub also of this lineage because he has a big head?
He does have an egghead.
He's smart.
He's a LAM head.
He has the egghead because he's smarter than all the white people.
So Crowley thought that LAM was the soul of a dead Tibetan Lama from Lang between China and Tibet. So they are saying LAM is Tibetan for the way or the path, and was to fulfill the work initiated by Iwas, which is the Book of the Law. Dude.
The Book of the Law that Crowley channeled.
Yeah. And so Crowley drew that portrait and said that gazing on the portrait enables one to make contact with the entity. And that is what this
Wait, you're supposed to gaze at that stupid picture?
Yeah.
That's like a...
meditate.
So it's Crowley's icons.
The LAM meditations, exactly.
That's so dumb.
It is an icon.
What is staring at this stupid thing going to do for me?
You want to see him?
Where's he at again?
Mm-hmm. This is the LAM statement.
And what's it going to do if I stare at him? Where's his picture?
You want him to contact you, so you can do all kinds of...
Forget it.
Here.
You know what he looks like.
This guy.
He's going to contact me if I stare at that.
Yeah.
How does he contact me?
Well, we'll get into that.
Email? DM on Twitter?
It's all done in the astral plane. It's very simple.
So he's going to talk to me at night tonight when I dream.
Only if you stare at his picture.
He's going to show up in my dream. Okay.
What do you guys think? We got some chupa chats.
Chupacabra chats.
Chupa chats. I like that. If you want
a little chupacabra instead of donuts.
If you like chupacabras, leprechauns, boo hags,
lambs,
paints, lambs, boo daddies. What else are there?
Boogers.
Mothman. This is what we are.
Mothman.
We're talking
Who would
about
win in a
today.
fight, LAM or Mothman? John Keel, Mothman?
LAM.
How do you know?
I don't know.
LAM looks pretty sad, dude. He doesn't look like
I know.
I mean,
Don't meditate
look at
on
Mothman. He's buff, dude. He looks like he's... Look at that six-pack. You think LAM has a six-pack? Hell no. He couldn't handle that Mothman six-pack.
Mothman looks pretty tough.
That's what I'm saying. He looks like a superhero.
Yeah. LAM's
Or
kind of
he
lame.
looks like a comic book villain.
Is it LAM or lame?
There we go.
Okay. Super Cabra chats. Love you guys. Thanks for getting me into orthodoxy from Riley. £3. Thank you. H. Brossi 9.99. Dude, I swear there was an Irish Mason that called in maybe a year ago at this point. He referenced that surah with Spurging and said they were true sons of Allah. I think he called you a racist too.
Yeah, I've had a couple Masons call in and say stuff like that. That sounds right. I forgot that.
So we've got people from Jim Bob here today. We've got people from Kotel here today. We've got people from your stream. They said they hopped over. So thank you guys for coming. We're talking about this lovely creature.
Alien eggs.
The original egghead LAM. And you remember when Lady Gaga came to the awards in the egg?
In a giant egg?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this
in fact, I remember doing podcasts talking about the orphic egg.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we're talking about channeling aliens and greys and ghoulies, and because someday they're going to show up with the alien psyop. We're waiting for a good one.
They keep pushing it. Somebody was talking about, or Timcast, he just covered a news story of some government official is talking about aliens again, like a government person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
We're still waiting for a proper alien invasion psyop.
I've got it saved here somewhere. Let me find it. Here we go. Watch later. Okay. Still waiting for what?
A proper alien invasion psyop.
I don't think they're going to push that until they think that it'll work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have to get more people channeling and meditating on and having communion. And this is where that idea of communion, like Whitley Strieber.
Whitley Strieber's reverse Christianity, which is communion with the entities, right?
So I printed out, what is this? The Argentium Astrum, and we're still talking about Sirius, by the way.
Eric Davis.
So let me see what he says. This was yesterday.
Tells Congressman Burleson he is aware of 4 alien species. It's kind of hard to hear, but let's.
I saw that.
Are they multiple species? Are they like, what was their size? And how many are usually on a craft?
So this is a former intelligence expert, and then whenever you hear that, you always know it's a scammer.
It's a dolphin super soldier.
It's a scammer, dolphin, super soldier, con man, telling the GOP representative, there are 4 species of alien entities.
Yeah, and it was the greys, the reptiles, the mantises, and one other. What were they?
What about there used to be a wasp one. The crazy conspiracy people used to say that underneath the UN were the giant wasps. They live under the UN.
Somebody in the chat look that up and tell me the 4th one, because...
So wait, he didn't mention the blue
Pleiadians?
avians? I thought it was the blue avians.
Is it Pleiadians?
I was trying to touch some blue avian butts in the desert, and
yeah,
I got a naked boomer coming at me.
I want to ride in a spaceship with a blonde, 8-foot tall.
You want a He-Man alien? Do I just get one of the blue avian chicken looking ones?
Yeah. No,
you get a He-Man man, and I get a chicken.
You get a mantis.
I get a mantis.
And he's like, what that?
Does she have big boobs?
No, she has big forearms to lop
man.
your head off. Do you remember in Buffy the Vampire Slayer when Xander fell in love with the mantis teacher? Mm-hmm.
That's my woman, is a mantis demon woman. Okay.
So don't look at LAM too much, or your mantis girlfriend will come bite your head off. What did I mark here? So yeah, meeting of the Silver Star, rises at dawn above the Golden Dawn, the transmutation of the Great White Brotherhood, and I showed you their secret seal.
And remember that Madame Blavatsky was working for the Fabian Socialists. She was a Fabian Socialist, as was Annie Besant. And some of the Protestants who kind of knew some of the history were going after me after the Ruslan clip because I didn't state it perfectly. I'm halfway right and halfway just not as nuanced as I should have been. So Madame Blavatsky was working with the Fabian Socialists, and the Great White Brotherhood, the Ascended Masters, are, I would say, with Dr. Richard Spence, code for her intelligence handlers. And then I said that there's a connection between her and the KGB. And to be more precise, what I should have said is her student, Annie Besant, is the one that had the KGB handler, Nicholas Roerich. And Dr. Spence argues that the Ascended Masters stuff that they would talk about when they would go on their journeys, that was cover for intelligence spying stuff.
That makes sense.
So Annie Besant would leave and go talk to Nicholas Roerich, who was a KGB guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Roerich was also like the, spiritual guy, and he was into the Ascended Master crowd.
And, well, he was the advisor to the...
Henry Wallace. Yeah, exactly.
So they're all connected in weird, esoteric, spiritual cults. And you just talked about Tibet. So LAM is supposed to be the soul of the Tibetan.
Yep.
Tibetans had an interesting role in World War II with Tiny Mustache Man.
Yes.
He had a whole contingent of secret Tibetan soldiers.
Himmler went on a mission to Tibet to find out these great secrets of the Ascended Masters.
Yeah.
And he was going to find the original root race of the god races, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you scroll back on my community posts on YouTube, you can find where 10 days ago I put up Dr. Richard Spence on the link between Blavatsky, KGB, and Fabian socialist espionage, right? So it's right there. You have to go to archive.org because this article is on a defunct website, but you can still find it on archive. I highly recommend looking up this article because it's really good on this subject. And it's called The Link of Theosophy to Occultism and Espionage by Dr. Richard Spence. Not Richard Spencer, Dr. Richard Spence. Okay? You have to get it on archive. And he's a professor. He's the one that wrote the book on Sidney Riley and the book on Crowley, Secret Agent 666, detailing Crowley's work for British intelligence. So, point being, whether it's Crowley or Blavatsky or Annie Besant, all these people are kind of coming out of the ethos of British intelligence and their promotion of Fabian socialism and Theosophy. Mm-hmm. Theosophy is intimately bound up with Fabian socialism.
Perfect. Yeah, go look up that article because that sums up a lot of work. Again. Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
Okay, some Chupik chats. If you go through the Sharia law manual, you'll see the word gnosis pop up many times. The Sufis are considered the highest rank having attained gnosis. Islam is a Gnostic cult with multiple degrees. That's from David James Flood. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. If you get into perennialism, many of the perennialists are Sufi. And they are Gnostics or influenced by Gnosticism and Neoplatonism. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Blue Skittle 499. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Always a faithful and fun mod. Zal Moxis 499. All of this info shows that spiritual warfare is real, that it has always existed and is still at work today trying to subvert the knowledge of God. Yes.
It is, and also people need to keep in mind the intelligence espionage side of this because that's a really crucial puzzle piece to understanding all this, and almost nobody understands that side of it. Yeah. Richard Grove understands it well. Trying to think of people on the pop side. Alex Jones understands it. Very few people understand the importance of the espionage part of this.
Yeah, Melissa Cecilia, what's up? For Bitcoin fund to buy LAM icons.
Yes, I'm definitely going to dump all my Bitcoin for expensive, stylish, fashionable LAM icons for sure. By the way, never sell your Bitcoin because Bitcoin just hit an all-time high today of over $109,000 and is presently at $108,500. So thank God for Bitcoin, as the book title says. What's next?
So this is the actual printout from the OTO of the LAM statement, and in the foreword it just kind of talks about the portrait itself, and it was at this exhibition in Greenwich Village in New York in 1919. Same year it was published as a front piece, like you said, on Blavatsky's The Voice of the Silence. So.
Oh wait, what was on Blavatsky's thing?
This guy.
What guy?
This pretty little.
LAM?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Blavatsky promoted LAM. So you're saying Blavatsky promoted him? In her magazine.
It was published as a frontispiece to Crowley's commentary on Blavatsky's The Voice of the Silence.
That's right. Remember when we did the lectures on the Cambridge Companion to Western Hermeticism? Mm-hmm. And we found that chapter on Theosophy and the chapter on Crowley. Crowley, I didn't even know that, did a commentary on Blavatsky's thing. He was a big promoter of Blavatsky. Mm-hmm. And that's because they're coming out of the same Fabian Socialist Royal Society circles. That's who's promoting. They're operatives for these people, is what I'm trying to say.
And the UN, it grew out of.
Mm-hmm. Blavatsky's Theosophy, yeah. The original Lucis Trust was called Lucifer Trust, and they still, to this day, publish all of Alice Bailey, Annie Besant stuff.
Right. So, Lam is the Tibetan word for the way or path, and Lama is he who goeth. The specific title of the gods of Egypt. Yeah, they would call Amun-Ra, or he who comes, really. If you get that double entendre, right?
And Crowley would do a lot of these wordplay double entendres. Mm-hmm. Like he has a book called Aha.
Mm-hmm. The Treader.
Palindromes.
He's also called the treader of the path. So we're going to find out that the voice of silence is also connected to the Phallic principle.
That also sounds like Enigma. What's the Enigma album? The third Enigma album? So they like the voice and the silence or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he had also a book called The Vision in the Voice that I quote in one of my books.
That sounds like Enigma too. Like the third album, I think.
And that's where we get when they talk about the Scarlet Woman speaks and what she says.
I bet you, I don't know this, but I would bet you Michael Cretu, he might be interested. He might be into Crowley, but I don't know. I hope not, because I kind of always grew up liking that goofy Enigma stuff.
I used to like Enigma too. Oh,
Hold on. No, not that stupid song. I'm talking about the later albums. No.
That's on that Pure Mood CD.
Let's see the third album.
Return to
No, the
Insane.
third album is the French one, Leroy S. Mort, Viva Leroy. I'm talking about the fourth album, which is the one that has the snake and the... No, the first one has a snake and the voice on it. And then the fourth album has something to do with the silence. Anyway, go ahead.
Will be a return to yourself.
The Screen Behind the Mirror is the one that I'm talking about. It has The Gate, Push the Limits, Gravity of Love, Smell of Desire, Modern Crusaders, The Screen Behind the Mirror, Endless Quest. That one's very sort of Crowleyan, Eyes Wide Shut type theme stuff. This one.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And it even has like the Eyes Wide Shut person on it. What?
Gravity of Love is a cool song.
It is a cool song, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're talking about the Alamander working again. The symbolism of the egg featured prominently. One of the earlier visions ended with the sentence, "It's all in the egg." So, real quick, like the last article we're going to read is like more deeply into the Alamander working, but basically he's got a bunch of hoochie mamas and a main hoochie.
Crowley?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And feeding him drugs and getting him high and doing all kinds of sex stuff.
It's funny because Father Deacon brought this up on our stream. Did you hear him?
No, what?
Well, he was just talking about how if the goal of this is to become a god through ritual magic and all this stuff, then why did Crowley end up dying broke as a drug addict, insane, and all of his women in insane asylums and unaliving themselves?
I know.
So much for being a god, right? But then, you know what they say to that? They say, oh, well, I transferred all of that to my higher self in the astral realm.
Mm-hmm.
So I might suck in this realm. I'm a god in the next realm, bro.
Well, that's the weird...
I thought that I was going to get all the powers in this life, though. I thought, like, how come I don't get the booty magic in this life?
Well, that's what they tell you in Islam, that, you know, you blow
You
yourself
get that
up.
booty in the next life.
But it's weird because it's not even like a human woman.
Yes, it's giant, like translucent.
It's an 80-foot tall, white-skinned, translucent,
Jelly
alien-looking...
bean.
Yeah, jelly. And you just walk around with an eternal boner.
Right.
And, yeah. It's just, it's the
Them
perfect...
hadiths go hard, is what she's saying.
It's just the perfect, you know, religion for gooners and, like, low IQ weirdos.
For dummies,
yeah.
Oh, by the way, go blow this thing up for me. And if you do, there's a giant, translucent, breasted babe in the afterlife for you.
Yeah, you'll get all the P-U-S-S-Y you want. Just do this
In the
thing.
next life.
Yeah. When you're dead, bro.
Like, but Crowley's doing the same thing because he's like, hey, baby, come join my cult. Let me brand you with my branding iron, do a bunch of magical mind control on you.
Yeah.
But in the next life, you'll be my goddess.
And,
right?
yeah, these are the types of things he would brand. This universal hexagram.
I was always wondering what exactly he branded his women with.
And this, well, at the top of this right here, this O and the X, there's a big picture of one of his women in my book with that.
Oh, that's
on
right.
her
That's
chest.
right. He would do the OX.
Yeah.
Like the X-Men symbol.
Yes, like the X-Men. So they were the X-Women, except for they were SEX workers. So imagine, like, if
The
you
Sex-Men.
if Crowley
Sex-Men,
got
but they're women.
all the girls from whatever podcast and got them drunk
But also
and high and,
made them into his
and see what they say.
his magical brides.
Yeah.
But also, he liked male butts too. because he got with Victor Neuberg
Yeah.
and did magical butt workings with Victor Neuberg, the Jewish magician.
Who also went insane as a result.
Victor did?
Yeah, of course. So they're talking about LAM is the voice of the silence and establish contact with the silent self. So what does that mean? It corresponds to the dwarf self, the phallic consciousness. So it is basically in...
By the way, here's Victor Neuberg,
Uh-huh.
Crowley's butt buddy, which I've never actually seen what this dude looked like. So this is Crowley's butt buddy. Go ahead.
So this is called Concerning the Cult of LAM, the Dikpala of the Way of Silence. So I looked up what Dikpala means in Tibetan or whatever. And I guess it's a spirit of a point on the compass. So this is like...
I didn't know.
It has to do with directions, like where do you go? What is your will? What is your purpose? What is your, path or the way, basically? And how do you determine the way? And it is just by listening to the silent self, which is your phallic consciousness. So your wiener is, what points the way. But wieners can be a liar sometimes.
It's my mantis.
Yeah.
I'm a soy mantis.
Because following your
soy
wiener
man.
could get your head lopped off by a giant mantis alien, right?
In that episode of Buffy, it happens to Xander.
So how many times in Proverbs and all that do they say, do not follow
That's
this?
Proverbs 7 and 8. Exactly. Right.
To the gates of hell to get your head munched off by a alien probe.
It's exactly what Psalm was talking about. Giant mantis alien women that disguise themselves. That's also in the Odyssey too. Remember, he's seduced by the sea bitches.
Yes.
Sea hoes. What are they called?
Sirens.
The sirens of the sea try to seduce Odysseus from getting back home to his woman.
Right.
But they're like demons that like put you in a trance and keep you out there. Right.
And that's how you get wrapped up in what's that liminal place with it? They eat the soma and they can't leave. What is that called?
Who goes there?
Like when in the Holy Mountain, where they're caught in the hedonistic pleasures.
Are you
there's
talking
a name
about
for
Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
But there's also like a mystical name for this place where you just get caught up and you never attain anything.
Well, in Dracula, if you remember, when Dracula's brides start sucking on Keanu, or the main lawyer guy,
Yeah.
it's the same idea. He gets seduced by the Dracula's brides, and they just feed on him up there, and he loses track of time and space.
Yeah.
So, but I understand you're talking about like a liminal space where you're trapped, where the entities feed on you.
Mm-hmm. So.
But I don't know the name of this space. What's the name of the liminal space where you get fed on? Anybody know? We got a super smart audience. I know they know.
Yeah. Yeah, so you cannot use your wiener as a compass. The way of LAM and the extraterrestrials. But so they go into that he is in fact a transmundane extraterrestrial entity. So they are using these
Lambdas?
words, yeah,
Okay.
that are going to become sci-fi. Extraterrestrials and stuff like that. So Kenneth Grant talks about him in Cult of the Shadow, which I have, but I haven't read it yet because you can only read one of those like every 10 years or you'll go crazy.
By the way, I remember the first interview I think that I did with Carl Wood on Higher Side Chats was about science fiction being illuminism. Like 10 years ago, our first podcast was on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
That basically Hubbard and all these people coming out of the sci-fi world are just pushing this kind of esoteric occult view. Gnosticism, transhumanism, all that.
Oh, and this is interesting too. When I
Arthur C. Clarke, by the way.
Yeah, that's in my talk. Arthur
Because
C.
Clarke is in the circles of Crowley and the Abbey at Thelema, and he's putting the apotheosis of man from a Crowleyan perspective into 2001, 2010, and 3001.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, again, if anyone doubts this, The clearest expression of this is if you watch 2010, the movie. It's really goofy, but it's actually pretty interesting because it takes place in the Cold War, and when the Soviets and the U.S. unite through science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they can transcend and go into space. And the monolith tells us that the great secret of man was that we are all children of the sun. We're like Luciferian children. And then
Dayman.
Dayman, fighter of the night man, champion of the sun. He's a master of karate and friendship for everyone. Dayman. Anyway, the monoliths are the means of transcendence to become gods. And then we go and populate the galaxy, because that was the gift of the advanced AI, which is the real god of the Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes, and this is in my talk that we do, live talk, which I haven't said hardly anything from that talk on a show yet, because I keep it for
specialties.
Yeah.
That's your special initiation knowledge, right?
Right. That's for live audiences only. But a lot of what I was talking about, they covered on Tinfoil Hat with Isaac Weishaupt just a couple of days ago. So, and exactly what you just said, the monolith, 2001, Arthur C. Clarke.
But you gotta watch 2010, because a lot of people forget this one because it was like a critical failure. But it actually makes it really clear, the movie, how Luciferian and Crowleyan this whole thing really is. It's explicit at the end.
Yeah, and this is also the plot of the first Star Trek movie. Star Trek.
With V'ger?
Yes.
It is. It's Crowleyan. Yes.
Where V'ger is just their probe that went through a black hole and became conscious and came back to merge with a human. Yeah. And
they thought it was V'ger, but it's just that the letters were rubbed off Voyager.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what I was going to say about Cult of the Shadow has to do with voodoo, and Michael Baritow, who wrote a book about Gnostic voodoo, is also involved in this Syrian cult. So it gets like cross pollination from voodoo to sci-fi.
I was trying to find the end of 2010 if there's a clip, because it shows you there's two suns suddenly, which is like one of the stellar signs that man has. You know how in the first one there's a stellar phenomenon, 2001, and then there's two suns, I think, at the end of 2010, showing that it's marking man's apotheosis to the next phase of evolution. Because it's called the year we make contact. But we're making contact with our God, which is the AI, which is the real God. The super advanced AI is the God, I think, if I recall. It's been some years since we watched it, but yeah.
Well, this all does get into AI in a second when we talk about the KFC egg commercial. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I think they were just going for viral, weird advertising.
Okay, because we're going to pick it apart in a second after we get done with this LAM statement. But anyways, so Cult of the Shadow, voodoo, crossover science fiction with Michael Baritow. What else? Preliminary. So this is the magical procedure. The mode of entering the egg may proceed as follows. Sit in silence before the portrait. So that was that stupid long picture that we showed. Invoke mentally by silent repetition of the name. If response is felt to be positive, enter the egg and merge with that which is within, and look out through the entity's eyes on what appears now to the votary an alien world. So you're trying to go into LAM and look at the world through the eyes of an alien.
Guardians of the Galaxy, the one where he goes and meets his dad. That was all about the egg, the cosmic egg.
Oh yeah, someone said
same principle.
Kumtact, right?
The year we make Kumtact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seal the egg, i.e. close the eyes of LAM and await developments. Number 5, at the first sign of stress or fatigue, return to mundane consciousness by opening the eyes and by oozing out of the egg in a form determined by the experiences within. So you're doing a butterfly thing. You're doing a metamorphosis, chrysalis butterfly, because you enter in the egg and then you ooze out.
Well, also an egg too is a form of alchemical metamorphosis, because the egg is like just this goo that congeals and coagulates into a living being, and then its bird breaks forth from the egg.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a metamorphosis symbology as well.
So after you ooze out, you're supposed to perform the banishing ritual, the pentagram, blah, blah, blah. It should only be performed in a fully protected circle. It should not be a group thing. Before actual lamentation. This is so goofy, you guys.
Is.
Like, it's seriously for weirdos.
Well, and for like schizo type people too.
Yeah. Oh, why the cult has been founded. I thought this was interesting. Because very strong intimations have been received. The transplutonic energy with the OTO is required to communicate at this critical period. For now, we have entered the 80s. So this is the 80s mentioned in the Book of the Law.
Is this trans-Ugothian magic? What's the 80s?
The 80s, like 1980s.
Wait, you're saying Crowley's Book of the Law mentions the 1980s?
According to this document.
And what does it say about the 1980s? Jacko.
Jacko.
Jacko is the great alchemical blending of the Negredo phase, because Jacko goes from black to white. Jacko is calcification.
He is the...
he went from black to white.
But he was the synthesis of opposites.
He was.
And
male, female.
White.
Prince.
Yeah.
Went from black to white, sort of.
Yeah. He did.
I'm just joking, but it makes for a
but
funny
he did
comment.
have that symbol of the male and female. He was very alchemical.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah. So they thought the 80s was a critical period, but this is also where a lot of the alien stuff is popping off, like in a serious religious way, like we mentioned with Strieber and.
Well, also the 80s propaganda of aliens went insane. I mean, you've got E.T., Star Wars was super popular. I mean, I know it's 1977, 78, but Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi are some of the biggest movies of the 80s. E.T. is one of the biggest movies of the 80s. Aliens are going wild thanks to Spielberg and Lucas.
So they are in the critical period of the 80s mentioned in the Book of the Law. According to them, it is our aim to obtain some insight into the nature of LAM, but also into the possibilities of using the egg as an astral space capsule for traveling to LAM's domain, which was Sirius, remember? Or for, this is funny, help me decode this, are you ready? Or for exploring extraterrestrial spaces in the sense in which OTO tantric time travelers are exploring the tunnels of Set in intracosmic and chthonian capsules. What do you think they mean by that? I think
Could be butt sex. Yeah, that's booty sex. But also, a lot of the space people, I don't know if Jeff Bezos is into any occultic stuff, but everybody was laughing because his little spaceship was a wee-wee. And definitely in 2001 Space Odyssey, it's intended to be this sort of phallic spaceship that sends out little semen-like probes. I'm not joking. The symbolism is intentional in 2001.
Yeah.
And again, remember, Arthur C. Clarke is coming out of the Crowleyan ethos. So you have this idea that not just insemination on a human, male-female level, but man will seed the universe and conquer the universe as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ethos of modern space stuff, NASA, Jack Parsons, it's also SEX magic, right? So the father of modern rocketry himself, the JPL lab, Jack Parsons, Jet Propulsion Lab, right, JPL, he believed that rockets were magical phallic objects. He's the developer of the modern rocket fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw it as a ritual action.
And Pan is also involved in this too. Panspermia. They would do rituals to Pan in the desert. Jack Parsons would. Pan is the god of the...
Well, it fits well with the idea of panspermia, that aliens seeded us here, right? That's kind of if you watch X-Files, the mythos of X-Files is kind of the same thing, right? It's panspermia. The aliens put us here as a kind of an experiment. It's the Garden of Eden is like where we're genetic experiments, and then our Prometheus creator, space jockey people come back to check on their experiment, right? And to harvest us or whatever. That's kind of the X-Files syndicate ethos. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. This is weaved into pretty much all the sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny, if you can't get it right on your own, you can do it with communion through Congress with a priestess chosen by LAM, or with one who possesses certain characteristics.
If you can't do what?
Contact.
Okay.
You can.
So
she'll help you.
He has a butt secretary.
Yes.
If you can't get me, just call my secretary.
All right. So that.
You want to touch my butt? Sorry, I'm busy. Talk to my secretary.
The LAM statement, all about that cute little guy. Ghoulies laying eggs everywhere. The egg UAP.
What?
The egg UAP.
Oh,
that was so famous.
The AI fake ass image that people think's a real alien egg. That's
yeah.
So stupid. By the way, there were some weird orb videos though of like the orb at the airport in the UK, and the orb but I think those are probably just kind of weird advanced drones. Would be my guess.
Well, there was a whole rash of egg stuff in the news before we could get the show together. We had some emergencies and then we had to travel. But I wrote down a bunch of the stuff that happened in that time period, and it was like Project Stargate, Starshield. They found a human egg farm in Georgia. Remember that? You want to look that up real quick?
I don't know what that means. What's human egg farm?
They had like women held captive and stealing their eggs.
What?
Yeah.
You mean the way that Epstein was doing it?
Yeah. So this Seeding the Galaxy also, these weirdos like
in Georgia?
Epstein, Jeffrey.
You're saying in Georgia?
Georgia, the country.
Oh, I thought you meant Georgia.
No, not
hey,
not
dude,
the state.
They got them human eggs outside Atlanta, dog.
They got crow eggs and protein.
Georgian officials. I'm trying to find a believable source on this. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying this kind of shit just goes around all the time, and you never know if it's human rights research, just some random website. I mean, I see articles claiming this, so I see what you're saying.
So it was some kind of bust that they were
news.
keeping women for their eggs in the country of Georgia.
Investigators examined the reports of a human egg farm in Georgia.
Yeah. What is it? Chat's going crazy now.
Oh, they're saying Chinese gangsters were running this.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Newsweek covering it.
What does it say? 3
Thai women are rescued from a group of Chinese gangsters who enslaved them in the former Republic of Georgia in order to harvest eggs. They said it was a human trafficking scheme, and they were also... I mean, if they do organ harvesting, I don't see why they wouldn't do this.
Yeah. But these were like all compressed within a couple of weeks. There was like so much eggs in the news, and I'm like, we should do an egg show.
Y'all remember that? Do you guys remember the weird orb that was at the UK airport next to the... It delayed the plane. So I think it was real. And nobody knew what it was. But here is the Newsweek article I'll put in the chat for you guys. Go ahead.
Also, this was around like early spring or late winter where they were saying we're going to have an egg apocalypse because of bird flu. And they killed a bunch of birds, a bunch of chickens, remember?
Uh-huh.
And then we had 2 Super Bowl commercials featuring eggs. Gordon Ramsay.
Well, we can't be schizos, just because.
No, I mean aliens.
Oh, it was like an alien egg theme.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gordon Ramsay had a commercial where he was supposedly at Roswell because he posted a picture on Instagram of his plane landing, and everyone's like, "Where are you?" And they found out he was at Roswell for some reason.
Here's the one that was at the UK airport that was driving everybody crazy online. Remember this one? And then here's the video. There's a video of it going up, supposedly. This is after it was on the tarmac, and then it flew up into the sky, supposedly. And there's another picture of it by the plane. But if you look up the UK airport orb, I think it's some kind of drone. But this is the one that everybody was going crazy over. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. But it delayed the flight, so I would say it's probably real.
That?
I mean, it looks like a ball of metal. It's kind of weird.
Dude, that looks
metallic
like
ball.
that. What's those scary movies with the mustard blood?
Phantasm?
Yes, it looks
Oh,
like a
it's the
ball from
Phantasm ball.
Phantasm.
Boy!
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't it?
Let me, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, these things from Phantasm.
Yeah.
Those things.
That's what it looks like.
The Phantasm ball looks a little more sleek, though. That other thing looked like a ghetto ball.
Well, it didn't have knives coming
It
out.
didn't have anything. It looked like paper mache.
Right, what's up, guys? We've got
So it's interesting that the alien psyop has morphed into all this weird egg-related stuff. But remember, all the alien ethos does have Crowleyan roots, just like the 60s counterculture stuff. And just like the prevalence of yoga today, it's all directly connected to Crowley and Blavatsky.
I have a little mini book that I printed out. I still haven't got to called, it was about Crowley and yoga.
Yeah, he and
8 lectures.
Blavatsky are even the Cambridge Companion said you can thank Blavatsky for yoga being everywhere, and by extension Crowley too.
Yeah.
Crowley wrote a book on yoga. Do you know that?
I know.
Is that what you're talking about?
8 lectures on yoga. I have that.
You can get it as a book.
Yeah. It's not very long. I was gonna make a show about it, but we just get too busy. Yoni eggs. Yeah, that makes sense too. I mean, there's nothing evil about eggs. They're delicious and protein-filled, clean
I thought
protein.
you were arguing evil. Eggs themselves are inherently evil, and
No.
the devil created eggs. Is that what you're arguing? Deviled eggs.
Soy face. You did it. So
Soy mantis.
what we're talking about here is extraterrestrialism. The worship of E.T. and Eggman.
It's called Exotheology.
Uh-huh.
You heard of that? In the Collins Brothers book, they do a really good critique of exotheology.
What do they say?
Just any system that worships space entities or derives its mythology of origin of man and life and earth, right? It's all called exotheology. That the gods are from the beyond. Or the true God, or like in the Crowleyan system, Yahweh is like the god of Jupiter. And the true gods are the unknown gods of the beyond, of the abyss.
Yeah, and beyond human consciousness, they say.
Yeah.
The point of this...
Lovecraft, too, says this.
To seek traffic with almost to seek to move beyond human consciousness, and they call this the extraterrestrial gnosis. It emerges increasingly as the core of Kenneth Grant's Typhonian trilogies, which I did... not the first one, but the second one called Astral and the Hidden God on Rockfin, and I'll unlock that one maybe in a little bit. But
well, in the Collins Brothers' great book, Invoking the Beyond, they talk about how easy it is to engineer the unknown and the domain of space as the unknown as a kind of religious tool, religious engineering. Space is very good for that. And the alien ethos, the alien mythology, the alien psyop fits so very well into all the other projects that the oligarchical elite like and want, like depopulation, technocratic control, tracking and tracing, genetic modification, Great Reset, deindustrialization, all of those fit so well with the alien psyop.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually a lecture from 1994 about extraterrestrialism by Michael Stalley, called The Mysteries of LAM. He must just be an occultist. I don't know.
He's critiquing it, or he is an occultist?
He's just lecturing on it.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's saying extraterrestrial in this sense is something that is beyond the range of human or terrestrial consciousness. It's the beyond or outside. But then he goes on to make this point about, like, is it really outside of us? A lot of, like, all is one, right? It's just in you. Anyways. But he says the entities are within reach, but they're not something separate from the magician. They are not out there. They are just beyond the wall of sleep, which is a Lovecraft story. And I think
I just mentioned Lovecraft.
Yeah. I think in the other book, Kenneth Grant says that the LAM also like stands for the 3 levels of consciousness, which is waking, sleeping, and dreaming.
That's right. I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah, it's Grant that says that. I remember that.
Yeah. So.
I think I put that maybe even in Esoteric Hollywood 2 when I was covering Twin Peaks season 3, because Cooper gets stuck in the Mob Zone.
Yes, and Kenneth Grant has a whole book called The Mob Zone,
I know.
and
that's what I read for that Twin Peaks analysis.
The Color Out of Space.
Yes.
Right.
Color Out of Space is a Lovecraftian story that most likely connects to this, because it turns out, and I put this in Esoteric Hollywood 3, by the way, guys. Lovecraft was influenced by Kabbalah.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I never. Yeah.
No, it's explicit.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of stuff you would find on Dr. Bronner's soap. He's talking about all is one.
They make a good joke in Riff Tracks all the time about the insane screeds. That Dr. Bronner gives you a book to read on the back of the soap when you're in the shower. You can read his insane screeds.
Yeah, well, that's what you used to read before smartphones when you go to the bathroom.
You read Bronner's schizo screeds.
Well, hey, you gotta respect the hustle. Like, he's like, schizophrenia be damned. I'm gonna make soap and become a millionaire.
Is he actually a doctor, or like a... Did he get his doctorate from a diploma mill, Universal Life Church?
I don't know. Maybe he went to Kellogg University for...
He went to Universal Life Church.
Yeah.
Let's see what Dr. Bronner...
Terry Scott Taylor has a song called Beyond the Walls of Sleep. Okay, that sounds esoteric. It is about after death and heaven. It's interesting. So he's saying, from his point of view, there's no such thing as alien contact. It's in you, man. It's already in you. But Crowley's...
I'm going to say Dr. Bronner isn't a real doctor.
He looks like a mad scientist.
After this picture, I'm going to say he's not a real doctor because he's more of a mad scientist.
Yeah. He looks like he belongs in
I'm trying to figure out...
Oingo Boingo video.
Oh, he's Jewish. Okay. So he fled the tiny mustache man. I'm trying to figure out if he actually has a degree.
I mean... Theology aside, I'll still use the soap.
No, I'm talking about, does he actually have a medical degree? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, is he doctor?
Or is he like you can call yourself a colonel, Kentucky colonel?
We're gonna end with KFC and a weird
I don't know if he's a doctor or not. It doesn't look like it. He looks like he's a character.
Doesn't he look like?
He looks like Dr. Feelgood, or like he's like Dr. What was in It's Always Sunny? Dr. Jinx.
Oh, P. Diddy.
Dr. Jinx.
Yeah.
Not a real doctor.
So yeah, we talked about Crowley's mediums and his Scarlet Women in this Alamantra working, which brought about what we know.
Dr. John. I'm trying to think of other pop culture doctors.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre. You know who Dr. John is, right?
Who?
Leon Redbone and Dr. John.
Uh-uh.
Anyway, Go ahead.
Well, this just is talking about his Alamantra and his Scarlet Woman. He gave them SEX drugs and alcohol in various exotic combinations, and they became oracular.
Okay.
So
you have to know, I was in the right place at the wrong time. Dr. John.
I don't know if I know that.
Everybody knows that song. I was at the right place at the wrong time. He sings like that. Let me let's hear
You can't play it though. Oh, that one. Yeah.
That's Dr. John.
Okay. Put up some famous.
Dr. J. Are they actual medical doctors? I don't know. Where did Dr. John get his medical degree?
Everybody put your famous fake doctor.
Yeah, there you go. Amongst
Dr. Pepper. There you go.
Amongst funk, being a doctor was very classic. If you're a funk person.
Yeah. Dr. Funk.
Yeah.
Be at the right place. Do it.
I was at the right place at the wrong time.
Yes.
And then there's another one he does, I think, with Leon Redbone. That's like a classic too, isn't it? Yeah. They sang Frosty the Snowman together. Look. Leon Redbone and Dr. John.
That's weird.
Wrong. Very noticeable.
Oh, Dr.
voices.
Crispy. We have our
I don't
very
know.
own.
I don't know if this person has the degree or not. Maybe they do.
We have our very own.
Maybe this person is a qualified medical doctor.
Yeah. Dr. Crispy
According
Kissinger.
to Not So Erudite, you're qualified if you get summaries of some papers. You don't need to know the titles of the authors. You just summarize some papers, and you have a medical qualification. Also, EMTs are basically doctors.
Yep.
Frosty's no man.
Dr. I can't think of him.
Dr. Feelgood. He's the one I call Dr. Feelgood. So basically, the guy that gives all the pop stars drugs is a medical doctor.
Well, yeah, exactly. Speaking of that, Dr. Crowley would drug up these girls and.
Dr. Crowley. You're making
yeah,
a joke?
I'm joking.
Okay.
And these are the visions experienced by them were frequently meaningless to the girls, but meaningful to Crowley. So whatever they're babbling about. And this always reminds me of...
Dr. Phil. Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Dr. Frankenstein. That's a good one. Dr. Gregory House. What was I saying? Anyways, his mediums were just girls on drugs, poor, SEX workers and people with mental problems. And this is the voices that are.
If you're gonna have a harem, why not get them from the mental asylum? Like pull from them slow girls.
And then he talks about the origins of LAM in this.
Dr. Crispy Kissinger says, I identify as a doctor. And there's nothing wrong with that. I support and believe that if you identify as that, you are. Is Dr. Gregory House, is that House, the TV show?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
So I thought this was interesting.
Is that from It's Always Sunny? Dr. Mantis Toboggan? That's from It's Always Sunny too, isn't it?
Or is that from
Arrested Development? No, it's from It's Always Sunny. Oh. You're thinking of Tobias.
Oh.
Mantis Toboggan was the doctor in It's Always Sunny.
Dr. Gregory House. Dr. Evil. Was that from?
It's Mantis. It's Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Mantis Toboggan. Deandra.
Do it.
I got a plan.
Do Charlie.
Mantis. That's a real doctor. Dr. Mantis Toboggan. All right, let's go. Come on.
Do Charlie.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do Charlie,
Okay, that's pretty good.
Dr. Eggman.
I am the Eggman. Cuckoo, Cuckoo. Mr. City. How does it go?
I don't know.
I am the walrus.
Okay, what's next?
Eggman. Well, I thought this reminded me of the celebrity shush fingers. You know how they always do that?
And yes, Harpocrates, the secret of Harpocrates.
So here it says,
hidden god.
LAM is the babe in the egg, Harpocrates, the god of silence.
It's the Gnostic hidden deity that Crowley's referring to when he's doing this.
Yes.
Because you can't speak the name of this deity.
And I think what they're saying is Horus is the large one and Harpocrates is the small one, and meaning your body and your wiener.
I didn't know that.
I think that's what they're getting
I
at.
thought hidden deity meant like the unknown deities beyond that are more powerful than the localized Jupiter, Judean god of the Jews, Yahweh.
Yeah, those are the trans-Plutonian.
Yeah, but I thought the unknown deity is like the one that's beyond all that, that's out there, that's unknowable, and you can't speak his name because it's unknowable. Is that not the secret of... I don't know. I'm not an expert in Crowleyan systems. We could ask Grok.
Well, I just thought that if they're doing... trying to get in touch with LAM, and LAM is like associated with Harpocrates, then the shush fingers and the celebrities would also be like an OTO LAM thing.
Well, and I argued that maybe the celebrities might be into Crowley from that symbol.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. Why were they all doing that? Like you see Rihanna's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
She's got doesn't she have on her finger?
Yeah, I mean, you can find as many examples of that as you want to. So Harpocrates, Huaparkrat, I talk about these guys in Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
Okay, what does he say about the Hidden God?
Is Pan.
It's not the out there entity?
Well, Pan is all in everything.
So,
but the dwarf, or the dwarf self, in this other article,
is the weenus.
Is the phallic consciousness. Yes. The little, and Harpocrates was a dwarf twin brother to Horus.
Okay, I see.
And then he says this is the hidden god term used throughout the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Huaparkrat is a term often used synonymously with the holy guardian angel of Thelema.
Mm-hmm.
Your own
Your
weenus.
higher self is your weenus.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that gives life.
Yes.
What is it for the woman? What is it for the woman?
Your higher... Oh, who cares about them?
In his system, though, do women have higher selves?
I don't know.
Probably.
To get drunk and be a medium for demons, I guess.
Not what do they do, but do they have a higher self? I mean, he allowed priestesses.
Yeah.
There were female priests in the Gnostic Catholic Church. He wrote the rituals for it.
Yeah, but I think they were just like... I've never heard this directed at a woman.
Well, let's ask Grok, who is a Crowleyan.
Okay. Someone said that's a good DeVito. Thank you, JD Petier.
I do a pretty good Frank, and I do a pretty good... pretty good Charlie. In Aleister Crowley's The Hidden God, what is the role of the Holy Guardian Angel for women?
In Aleister Crowley's system, as discussed in Kenneth Grant's Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God, the Holy Guardian Angel represents a person's truest divine nature, a spiritual entity or higher self that guides one toward their true will. For women, this concept ties into Crowley's idea of the Scarlet Woman, a figure embodying the awakened Kundalini or cosmic power, often accessed through sexual magic. The Scarlet Woman, as a magical archetype, channels divine energy and serves as a priestess or partner in rituals to connect with the Holy Guardian Angel. The role isn't strictly gendered, but women in this context are often seen as vessels for this cosmic force, facilitating spiritual awakening for themselves and others through esoteric practice.
So your way to be awakened is to be the
priestess. Yeah. So then they talk about how this fits with Taoism and the way, because LAM means the way.
Islam. That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
That's a Jordan Maxwell level. if you look at the god LAM and you think of the world religions, what is the other largest world religion? Islam.
Yeah.
I can hear him saying it. He probably does say that somewhere.
I think you just
I invented
stumbled
a
onto
new
something.
a Maxwellian
Yeah.
portmanteau.
Slowboy Whiteboard, yes, she's the conduit for the demon to possess. Check out Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God on Rockfin on my channel. And that explains all of that. All the wheezing the juice, I call it.
Right.
Wheeze the juice.
Wait, how is wheezing the juice from the Brendan Fraser movie relate to this?
Because the juices are magical kalas. The female with juices have 12 different uses for the juices.
Oh, I see. Gross.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has to do with Taoism. This has to do with, they say, the continuum or extraterrestrial reality is a communion in which we are celebrants and that which is celebrated. And that reminded me of Whitley Strieber. Remember? So
it is odd that Whitley Strieber made his whole thing mimicking Christianity, communion.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Psyop Cinema Bros, they have a theory that he might have actually been MK Ultra.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because he claims he was sent to some school for X-Men kids. He went to Professor X's school.
Well, that's what they talk about in this.
I know, yeah.
This is all about Professor.
Maybe Whitley Strieber, I don't know.
So Crowley, in the Alamansha working, let's just sum it all up and wrap the show up. He had his main mistress, a lady named Roddy Minor.
Roddy Minor.
Roddy Minor. And she was an opium addict, and she had opulent visions, which she related out loud, and he wrote them down. Yeah, sex, drugs, alcohol, various combinations. The seer was usually her, but there's other women involved. The visions opened in a woodland temple, which were perceived astrally by the seer. So they would go into these trances and go through the woods, which is the domain of Pan.
It's the realm of chaos.
Yeah. And here is the vision of a drug-induced sex worker, and I swear, eggs and ham. I'm not even joking. This is the climax, okay? She says, I began by asking for a vision containing a message. I first heard gurgling water and saw a dark farmhouse.
The Roman Catholics should find this convincing. I mean, it's visions. Why not? Why not a prostitute having green eggs and ham visions of Dr. Seuss?
It's literally...
Maybe this should prove Crowleyism to the Roman Catholics.
Listen. Oops, my phone. It says, the house and other things disappeared, and a dark yoni appeared just where the house had stood. I then asked, where will the message come from? Immediately, soldiers with guns appeared about the place, and a king on a throne where the house had stood. I then asked again, and then at the beginning, do you remember we were talking about a stone throne? It had to do with Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
So here she is again seeing the same kind of stuff. A king on a throne where the house had stood. I asked again for a message and saw an egg, in which were many tiny convolutions of some flesh-like substance which would form something. So she's seeing gooey egg balls.
This is the goo before it becomes the chicken.
Yeah.
This is what you eat.
The egg was placed in an oblong as in a picture. Around it were clouds, trees, mountains, and water called the four elements. A camel appeared in front of me. I next tried to...
Is this one of Crowley's women?
This is her vision.
I understand, but I don't know who this person is.
What was her name? Roddy Minor.
Okay, and this is a Crowleyan woman.
Yes. This is
one of the ones that was his women, or just in
This is the Alamansha working, the notes from that.
What I'm asking is this woman in the Crowley sphere or directly one of his sex women?
It was his mistress at the time.
Gotcha.
So, said a camel appeared in front of me. I tried to find out who the king was. He looked more like Professor Shotwell than anyone else. That is, he was simple, democratic, and very learned and fine. He was certainly not a king belonging to any kingdom limited by a country's borders, but he was a king of men or a king of the world. I asked his name, and the word ham appeared between the egg in the oblong and the soldiers around the king.
This is a crazy,
He's
this
eggs
is a
and
crazy
ham.
hoe. This reminds me, remember when Charlie was like, you wouldn't believe how many crow eggs there are in Philadelphia?
Yes, eggs and ham. And now we have little green aliens, and they say that
this is Dr. Seuss level stuff, dude.
It's so crazy. So they're saying the egg is commonly occurring glyph throughout the visions of this working. It's just the potential of all the things that have yet to come.
Okay. Oh, the egg is potentiality. That's true, yeah.
Let's see. The babe in the egg, Harpocrates. We talked about that. Often depicted seated on a lotus flower.
We need to get out in the sun and do a walk before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Enough of this crazy.
Okay, so that is it for this. The cult of LAM is the babe in the egg. It is the gateway to initiation to Sirius. And
who's the babe? Is that like the 2001?
Harpocrates is the babe.
I thought that was the secret of the dwarf.
Finding the babe. What is that David Bowie song? The babe.
You know what, Labyrinth?
Yeah. Who's the babe?
But what's Harpocrates?
He's the twin to Horus.
Okay, but how does he? What's the babe in the egg?
It's the potentiality of Harpocrates and meditating on LAM and getting.
Okay, I see.
Bugattis.
I see.
Yeah.
Getting Bugatti.
It doesn't have to make sense. It's magic.
Okay, it's just magic.
Okay, so that's pretty much all of it. I do want to show you guys one more thing that was really weird. If you have any super chats or questions or comments or anything.
Is it on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've heard of this commercial.
Is this Gordon Ramsay?
No. This was the KFC.
Oh, the KFC commercial.
Viral.
There's two of them.
Yeah. Believe in chicken. So it's weird. I don't know if I can do this.
Just tell them to
with
go
the sound.
watch. Just tell them to go watch it.
So yeah, believe in chicken, but it's weird because the first commercial is a lady doing her laundry, and then she starts to get possessed by the radio. And they're all like pop and lock zombies walking towards this chicken. But they're being like controlled like in that movie Cell with John Cusack.
By the signals.
Yes, so they're controlled by the signals to go worship a egg. And then even on the TV, it says man marries AI. And the theme of the commercial is like, you can't trust what you see anymore because of AI. So now we worship the chicken.
And then it's cannibalism.
Yeah, and then the second one, believe in the chicken too, is like some kind of tribal. This man like appears in the forest with this like primitive techno tribe. It almost looks like, right? Like they're not Bushmen, but because they wear.
Yeah, just look up KFC, believe in the chicken. Yeah.
So you have like this androgynous person who puts on this puffy coat, and then they take the normal guy, and there's this some kind of
Putting
egg.
on that Kanye Balenciaga coat.
Exactly, it does look like Balenciaga. There's this like egg ritual where the tribe is carrying this giant golden egg into the forest, and then they take the guy and they baptize him in gravy, right? And he comes out to be a chicken nugget.
It's the KFC cult.
Yes. And they worship the giant golden egg. So that is all the eggs that I had in the basket today. Thank you for coming on my channel. It's always fun, and you make it better than it ever could be. So
thank you.
Someone said that's a good DeVito, and I don't think there are any more super chats. Thanks you.
JB Peltier. You have to read their name. I would say someone.
I read it before, but okay, JB Peltier. Thank you, Harry, Jethro, Melissa, Slowboy Whiteboard was here, Dr. Crispy was here, all the coolest mods.
All your mods were here.
Yep, came for the show, so I hope you enjoyed all these greasy eggs. And next time I want to do one with you called Something Wicca This Way Comes, about witches.
And we'll have to talk to Wicca Phase because he's the highest of all the witches in the world. So, all right, thank you guys.
All right, bye.